Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Coaches from the Couch podcast, where we like to talk sports and do our best to have a good time. We saw the Summer League get wrapped up the other day. The Cavs actually took home the championship, and I'm going to pass it over to Carson, kind of highlight what kind of happened in the Summer League, how it went. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, Cavs, obviously, they went 6-0. They had Isaiah Mobley? Is that his name? I think Isaiah Mobley won the Finals MVP award in the Summer League. So good for him. I think he's a little bit older than his brother, though. I think he's way older. But, it's the Summer League. Same old, same old. I don't think it's very important. But, Jake, what do you think about the Cavs?
They played well. That MVP will probably help Isaiah Mobley make a roster. But, I don't know. I feel like I just don't really care.
Yeah, that's the way I am. I think it is something that we should touch on.
Right.
And then most valuable player was Cam Whitmore from the Houston Rockets, which I think is very fascinating because he was kind of that draft question mark. He fell in the draft, and then he actually plays really well in the Summer League, so he actually wins the most valuable player in the Summer League.
Yeah, sorry, Jaden, I was just going to say, I think the biggest thing is just like I said, all these awards help these guys, at least have a better chance to make the roster. Obviously, Cam Whitmore's going to make the roster. But if you look at, the first teams and the second teams of the world, like Sam Morrell, Orlando Robinson for the Heat, Hunter Tyson, he went to Clemson, and then obviously Cam Whitmore. These are guys that are fighting for roster spots, and they should be huge for them.
I was pretty excited to see Imani Bates showed out. He played well in the Summer League. Just a guy that he was such a high recruit coming out of high school, had a lot of high expectations and kind of didn't really live up to those expectations, I would say. Left Memphis, went to, Eastern Michigan. Got taken a little bit later in the draft than he probably would have hoped. It was good to see him have a good Summer League. I like that.
Yeah, and then like Jake said, pretty much he already named off all the first team for the Summer League. You had Keontae George, Sam Morrell, Orlando Robinson, Hunter Tyson, Cam Whitmore. That was the first team. And then second team, we had Max Christie, Javon Freeman Liberty, Xavier Moon, Imani Bates, Jabari Smith Jr., and Jalen Wilson. So looks like a lot of second year and a lot of rookies, obviously, but not too many third year players. Are they even allowed to play? Yeah, they're allowed to play 3 years, right?
No, it's first and second year.
Is that it?
Yeah, there may be, I don't know, there may be some rule, but I know it's for sure it's first and second year players.
Gotcha. 1 year J.R. Smith played in it because he
he
got arrested or something.
There's probably some type of rule that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But anything else on the NBA Summer League? Because I think this is pretty much boring.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, if I'm being honest.
I watched the 2 Pacers games, and that was about it. And then they stopped playing Nembhard, Benedict, so it's just after that. So after this, let's go ahead and talk about let's move into some college basketball. So obviously we had the Global Jam. The Kentucky Wildcats took on Team USA Kentucky took on Team Canada to take home the gold, and Jake's Louisville girls actually took home the victory in a very close battle. I actually watched the end of it.
It was the team that Canada team actually beat them in pool play.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
So you want to start on Louisville girls?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, that Canada team actually beat them in pool play, but that just shows you why all the best coaches, all the best players, they come to America not only because they pay more, but also just because I guess it shows you just that talent difference between coaches, right? Mm-hmm. Jeff Walz is one of the best coaches in NCAA women's basketball, and it's really hard to beat him twice, right? And obviously, they were able to take home the gold for Canada. But I think all in all, just on both sides, this is a nice tournament just to kind of get a feel for where you're at. I was listening to some of the announcers on the women's side. I didn't really watch the men's tournament, but I was listening to some of the announcers. Jeff Walz and the Louisville girls basketball staff, they're only going to see their team during the summer for this time because of the recruiting dead periods and all that dead time. So other than this time, they're recruiting right now. Right, so they probably hopped on a private plane. They're probably recruiting in some random town, a random city without their team. So it's nice for the staff to kind of get an early indicator of what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and also just try to start building on an identity, whether that's defensively, offensively, whatever. So I really like the global tournament. I think it's a fun and nice addition for men's and women's side.
It's fairly new, isn't it?
But yeah, it's pretty new.
I thought it was. But I thought it was very fascinating. So I didn't know, going into it, I didn't know those are recruits from Canada.
Yeah.
They're not. I thought this was like a professional team. This ain't a professional team. That's a college team put
Gotcha.
together. See, I didn't know that. Canada, when I was watching the Canada and Kentucky game, they had a couple guys going to college from Canada on that team.
Right.
So it wasn't a professional team. I didn't know
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk about Kentucky, and Jaden, you could probably touch on this too. I thought Kentucky looked really good in the tournament. There was not too many close battles in this, so that always stands out really well. I thought it was fascinating. Cal came out and said about this team that, it is very unusual to see a team this early playing together, and this team plays together. Yes, they look for their shot. This team shoots the crap out of the ball. At least they did in this tournament. Reeve shot over 50% from three, and he shot a lot. Justin Edwards found his groove after game one. DJ Wagner struggled a little bit. Dillingham struggled a little bit. But it is always good to see that you're winning by 20 points when DJ Wagner and Rob Dillingham aren't playing well. And no big man at that. Trey Mitchell looked really good too.
Yeah, I think kind of my thoughts on the Global Jam was just, I think this is a really good year to have that kind of thing with, as I've said many times, we're such a young team. We're basically all freshmen, really.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple veteran guys, but mostly freshmen. So I think this kind of opportunity, you go up to Canada, play together against other teams this early in the year, gives you kind of an edge over other college teams and allows us to build some much-needed chemistry, I would say. So, yeah, I think that's huge. I saw we went to Drake's house. Looked like we had a good time there.
That thing looked like a hotel. I don't know if you saw that.
That was a huge house.
Yeah, they said it was over a couple $100 million, I think, and it definitely looked it. But I wanted to touch on one more thing. I just want to talk about how good Reed Shepherd played. Reed Shepherd looked really good.
That's actually what I was about to say. You go and then I'll go.
Yeah, Reed Shepherd. I mean, this dude. So coming in, I didn't know much about him. Obviously, I knew he was Mr. Basketball in Kentucky, but obviously his dad played for Kentucky. But this dude can play. Like, yes, he has offense ability. Like, yeah, I thought he was going to be just kind of like a Tyler Hero, weak on defense. This dude showed out more defense, I think, than he did offense. Yes, offense, he played really well, but defensively, he was getting steals left and right, starting fast breaks, and blocking shots at the rim. I remember there was a play, he got ripped. Next thing you know, came down, Chase blocked him, and went off the dude's chest, Kentucky ball. And there's just like stuff like that. You don't usually see that from freshmen.
Right, so I think the two storylines from this tournament, on the women's side, it was, how is Louisville going to play without Haley Van Lith? They played well as a team, they shot well, but then obviously I think on the men's side, the story of the whole tournament to me was Reed Shepherd. Now these are the only games I've ever seen Reed Shepherd play. I've never seen his high school highlights, his high school games, but this is what I believe after the 3 games I've seen him play. I think he's going to be the best college basketball player in Kentucky's freshman class.
Really?
I believe that. No, I'm not NBA. I think DJ Wagner has that, or Edwards either. But I think Reed Shepherd's going to be the best college basketball player in Kentucky.
Yeah, and then he could honestly be that type of guy too, where he might have to play another year at Kentucky just because
that's part of the reason I'm comfortable saying that. Yeah. He may be a sophomore year too.
Yeah.
And
if he's a sophomore year too, Kentucky should be very happy. That dude has a lot. He's a very college basketball player.
But after what we saw this past tournament, he looks like a one and done. At least after these last 3 games.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looked good.
Yeah, he did. And then I'm going to talk one more player. Trey Mitchell looked absolutely amazing. Like, I was not expecting as much as he brought to this team. Obviously, he was thrown into a fire to play center. I mean, he did not come to Kentucky to play center. I can tell you that. When you have 2 7-footers on the roster that got hurt, Trey Mitchell steps in 6'7", and the dude shot over 40% from 3. He hasn't done that any time in his career. And then he was averaging 15, 20 points a game.
I mean, he had to be tired too. He was playing the whole game.
I would say it was either him playing big or it was Jalen Burks, and Jalen Burks actually showed out for as much as he played. He didn't play very much, but he did okay.
Yeah, I think on either side it's tough to just take too much just because the talent levels were they were just so different. But it's just, like I said, nice to get a feel for where your team's at, especially for the coaches that are probably on the road recruiting right now.
Yeah, and then so is there anything else you guys want to talk about Global Jam?
No.
So now
Good tournament. Really good tournament.
It was a good tournament.
Fun tournament.
And so next I want to talk about the MLB. And so I was actually boots on the ground in Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't a good one because we got swept. Yeah. But it was a fun time. But I wish the Reds would have won. But hopefully the Reds are in a. I think they were in delay yesterday, and they suspended the game. Now they start back up today, and they're kind of like doing like a little doubleheader.
Yeah, so they start at 5:40 today. This is July 19th, 18th?
18th.
July 18th. So yeah, they'll start at 5:40. They're gonna come back. It's gonna be top of the 8th or top of the 7th? Top of the 8th. Runners on second and third, one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's curious to see who we bring. I'm curious.
I think it's gonna be Diaz.
I think we might bring. I guess has Sims pitched?
He pitched yesterday and got the out. They brought him in.
I wonder if they bring him back in because he's a strikeout pitcher. So is Diaz.
Right.
But I think you got to bring in a strikeout pitcher to get out of that jam.
But at least I guess the good part is Diaz didn't pitch yesterday.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable with pitching him in this game, and then also if he needs to get the save in the later game that starts at 7:10.
He pitched in the game I went to, and he actually blew a save.
Yeah.
I don't know if he didn't blow the save. He blew the tie.
Right.
And that's very unusual. So I guess I'm bad luck.
And it was stupid. It was a ball on the hands that just went the other way. But.
And did you watch that game?
I did.
The Reds hit the crap out of the ball. It was just right to him every single time. LA made the hardest throw in MLB history ever recorded since 2015 or something. So that was pretty cool to witness. But other than that, I mean, Jake Fraley hit a moonshot. But it was kind of a basic MLB game, honestly. Nothing too crazy. But I do want to talk about the Reds going forward. The Reds, I mean, they're looking a little shaky to start the second half. Obviously, they haven't won a game yet. Our schedule is pretty tough the next coming series. I mean, we got the Giants now. I think we have the Dodgers coming up.
We got a 4-gamer against the Giants.
Yeah, and the Giants are never easy to win against. No. And they're just a grit and grind, kind of like the Brewers, pitching, duel. I mean, it is. I don't think it's a good fit for the Reds, but it does help we are at home. For sure.
It's kind of been. It hasn't really been pitching lately. It's been hitting, been ice cold from the plate. And that's baseball, right? It's gonna happen. But they've made some lineup changes. They moved Ellie to the leadoff. I don't really like the idea of having Ellie. I don't like having Ellie bat leadoff and then Friedel second. Just because there's a fly. Just because TJ Friedel hasn't been hitting well lately. So why protect Ellie with a guy that's not hitting well? I think TJ needs to be put in the 9-hole. I think they need to put him in the 9-hole. That way it's like a second leadoff almost, and then put somebody like Will Benson against righties in that 2-hole.
I think Friedel is either 1 or 9. Right. I don't think there's any in between. Maybe an 8.
Well, their idea is probably he's a good bunter. That's probably what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But the thing is he's been hitting like 240 in his past like 30 games.
I know. Yeah, He was batting over. He started over 300 at the beginning of the second half of the season. Now he's like down to 290. So he's hasn't got hit in a while.
Right.
And then Vado's still looking okay. I mean, he's pretty much been our whole offense for the last like 3 series.
And then this game that I guess is currently happening still.
That's true.
India broke out of a slump.
Finally.
Double, single, hit a home run.
He's the only one that's basically hitting Logan Webb. He was.
Yeah, he was. And I think in the bottom of the 6th, he hit an Oppo home run, missile to right field. So it's nice to see him break out of a slump because it's getting loud about his position.
Well, him and Stevenson.
Getting really loud.
And Stevenson's in a slump right now too. He's hitting the ball hard. It's just can't find a hole, and that's baseball. But they were talking about it the other day. He has been really good behind the plate, though, defensively, and that was always his biggest struggle. And he's shown that this year, where he's gunning out people and no one's running on him. So at least he's doing that, batting 240. That's about your average catcher.
Right. Absolutely.
Anything on the Reds for you?
Yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. I know we're kind of lacking some offense right now. Where do you think Christian Encarnacion Strand fits into this team, since he just recently got called up?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's awkward. There's no doubt it's awkward just because it's just like he's a corner infielder. We have enough of those, but he's probably the best. I want to say he's probably one of the top 5 best ball mashers, just putting the bat on the ball and hitting it hard on the Reds. I really believe that. And that doesn't necessarily mean like 475-foot home runs, but just hitting it hard somewhere.
Barreling.
Yeah, barreling. Yeah, getting the barrel. So I think he's one of those guys you've got to put him somewhere. I mean, he hit
too good of a bat.
He hit 330 in AAA in a large sample size, not just like he's getting lucky. You know, it's a large sample size.
And he did it for all year. That's the thing. And I think what's crazy, the thing he does like is fielding.
Yeah.
So I think the only place you could probably play him right now in the MLB is probably first and DH.
Right.
And I mean, DH is kind of that open spot for the Reds. I mean, it kind of rotates. That's the spot that really does rotate. I think you can maybe see him start flipping with Votto.
Yeah.
Right and left. I think.
Well, they tried him in the outfield a couple games in AAA as well, so that's interesting.
My problem is I don't think you bring him up to platoon him. I think you bring him up to be an everyday player.
Yeah.
You know,
but
there's no reason in calling him up.
who do you take out? I mean, I know Spencer Steele's struggling, but thing is though we know what he's capable though of. I mean, he's leading like the rookies in RBIs and like home run. He's like tying home run. Like the dude can. He's just in a slump. If
you asked me yesterday before the game, this is what I think the Reds' best lineup was yesterday before the game. I would have said Steer at third, Encarnacion Strand or probably Votto at first, Encarnacion DH, and then McClain second, Ellie shortstop. That's what I thought the best. Yeah, but then he's sort of started to break out India again. So if he gets hot again, we're in business. But I mean, he's to under 250. You know, you can't have your best bat or one of your best bats being under 250.
Well, and I think that's one of those things I'm a little surprised on by David Bell is actually I do guys. That ejection was awesome. I was at that game. That ejection was awesome. But one thing I was surprised about David Bell though is how he hasn't moved him down in the lineup.
India?
Yeah,
I know.
Not too far. Like
right.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone to that 6 or 7 or 8, maybe even 8 spot. Like in this slump, just to he's still getting the bats. He's still in the lineup, but he just hasn't moved him. He's staying that 3.
I honestly believe that 5th is one of the most important spots in the lineup.
Yeah.
5th is a vital position.
And what is he batting? He's batting 3rd, I think.
Who?
I think India's batting.
No,
3rd.
they moved him to 5th after the. They've now moved him
really?
to 5th, and he's 5th now. So.
I'd like to honestly maybe move him. I mean, not now. I mean, he's 3 for 3 in this current game, so maybe he can keep his hitting streak alive and keep going. But I just think there's something that we need to do. I mean, I think still we need to figure out pitching. It is what it is. I mean, yes, we've been pitching very, very well lately, but I still think we need, like, if we want to go to that next level, we need pitching, and we have too many guys hurt. I think hitting, we've shown that we can hit. We're like one of the best hitting teams, so I don't think we need to worry about that. That'll come. That's just baseball. So I think we need to get pitching in this trade deadline.
Have to, and I mean, what do you guys think about giving up a high prospect for like a Lucas Giolito?
I mean, it sucks to say, but Ario has to be gone. I mean, there ain't no room for him.
Who?
Edwin Ario.
Oh, Arroyo.
Yeah, that dude.
Clip that.
Yeah.
Clip that.
There's just no room for him.
Yeah, there is. Well, he's young. He's only 19.
Yeah, but so, I mean, McClain's what, 23?
Yeah, 23, and then Noelvi's 21.
21.
Yeah, Noelvi's 21 as well.
So I just don't know where there's going to be room for him.
Yeah.
Considering you want him to be an everyday
I also
player.
saw some things about Chase Petty. He's in AA right now.
19 or 20.
Yeah, 19 years old, moving him for Lucas Giolito. I don't know about Lucas Giolito.
I mean, he's shown that he can pitch. I mean, he's fairly young. He's like 28, 27. Right. So, I mean, I think the Reds need to get a guy like that around that age, though, like who's already solidified himself in the MLB. He's an MLB pitcher, and he's had really good years in the past. But like you can keep him for 4 years, and where he's 32 and he's still pitching good. So I think that's a guy the Reds need to get, though. They need to get a veteran anyway. Like, say we don't even make it this year, we still need to get him for the future. Like Hunter Green, Lodolo still need help.
Right, and Abbott.
Abbott, yeah.
For sure.
But who pitches in the second game today?
So Williamson pitched. It won't be Abbott.
Is it not Abbott?
And maybe it is Abbott.
I think it might be.
Or is it Ashcraft?
Might be Ashcraft. But is anything else you guys want to talk about MLB?
Yeah, I would like to talk about. I know you just kind of touched on the trade deadline. You think Ohtani gets moved before the deadline?
So if I'm the I'm going to say if I'm the Angels, yes. Like or if I'm the Angels, I would want to. He ain't coming back. He wants to win. He's already said that. Angels, for some odd reason, they've never been able to win, never. And so I think Ohtani is gone. So if I'm the Angels, I'm trying to trade him. I mean, because you can get a boatload for him, obviously.
Talk about a return.
So I think you'd almost be dumb if you don't. I honestly think so.
I actually believe the opposite. I don't know how I'd be able to lay my head down at night trading Ohtani no matter where my team stands.
But how
I mean,
sick
if he's going to leave anyways, you kind of get forced into
But
that.
I mean, I feel like
it just comes down to how confident you're going to get him
I
back.
could see myself making myself believe that he's gonna stay, even if I don't think he will. I could see myself I mean, how do you trade a guy like that?
I mean, that's
It'd be the
nearly
biggest trade in MLB history, no question.
besides Babe Ruth,
Yeah.
essentially. I
Yeah,
mean, he's on the
seriously.
same par, in my
I
opinion,
thought
as
Babe Ruth
Babe
went
Ruth.
for cash.
I don't know.
No, you're thinking
But-
of another guy.
Babe Ruth? He went for cash.
You're thinking about a washing machine?
For
Oh,
the
you're talking
Red
about
Sox.
before.
Red Sox or the Yankees. He went to for cash.
Gotcha.
Either way, it was an exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. You're saying it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're
Yeah.
saying just like for one of the biggest players. Okay.
Right.
I thought you were saying like the biggest deal of all time. Like you're gonna get.
that was probably one.
The Soto deal, yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say Soto deal was huge.
But I mean, I would if I'm the Angels, though, I would try to trade him. I don't see him returning. I just don't.
Right.
And
And they're out of the playoffs.
I mean, it hasn't worked with Trout and Ohtani. I
for
mean,
multiple years.
Yeah, I
So.
mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think Ohtani is out.
Kind of in place of today's game, we're just going to do some NFL player takes. I feel like we haven't done something like this in a little bit, so we're getting more and more involved into the NFL as the summer goes on. So we're going to do some player takes today, and we're going to start off with Carson and go down the line. First players I have on the list are Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. Who do you expect to have the better year this year?
And you're talking 2023-24 season.
Yep.
And you're talking fantasy, right?
Or just in
Because I think that's.
I guess that's how you quantify it, right?
Yeah, I suppose, whatever.
All right, so I'm gonna say, I might take it differently than you guys. I'm gonna say I would rather have Trevor Lawrence. I've always been a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I think Trevor Lawrence is an actual quarterback compared to Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is more of a runner before than passing. Obviously, he's shown that. Do I think Justin Fields is going to show very much, like a lot of improvement this year? Yes, but I still think Trevor Lawrence is like everything you want in a quarterback. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is like a guy you want in a quarterback. He's already won a playoff game in a big comeback, probably the biggest. I think it was the biggest comeback in NFL history in a playoff game. So he's already won playoffs. Got a good coach with them. So give me Trevor Lawrence.
And it's interesting that you brought up fantasy, kind of, because in a fantasy lens, I think I would honestly probably rather have Justin Fields, just because, especially in like a 4-point touchdown league, guys like Justin Fields are an absolute cheat code, especially bringing in DJ Moore. Maybe you can get into that passing ceiling, and he could really break out. But in terms of just in general, who's going to have a better NFL season, I'm definitely taking Trevor Lawrence. Maybe the best quarterback prospect I've ever seen with my own two eyes. I think he's the much more advanced passer at this current time. And I like, if you're looking at their two situations, probably the worst division in football, in my opinion, that Trevor Lawrence gets to play in. Not saying that
I disagree.
Not saying that the Bears division isn't. It's not the greatest either, but I think it's better than the Colts division. And you look
mean
at
the Jaguars division. It's better than the Jaguars division. Why'd you say Colts,
Colts.
there, dude?
because you guys are Colts fans.
But we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, who's a Jaguar.
It's Colts.
Dude,
Sorry, dude.
keep our name out of your mouth.
Colts.
But just looking at kind of their targets, I like Lawrence gets to throw to Ridley, Ingram, Christian Kirk. He has Travis Etienne in the backfield, and then you got like what Fields has DJ Moore, who I like, Mooney, Claypool, Kmet, and then like a big cluster of running backs. So I don't know. I think the safer bet would be to take Lawrence here, and that's what I'm going to take.
And because of all the reasons you guys said, I agree. Trevor Lawrence. Fields, obviously, I think he has a chance, but Trevor Lawrence, he's generational. He's generational.
The next one I have written down is Nick Chubb or your boy Jonathan Taylor.
So I'm gonna definitely take Jonathan Taylor. I mean, yes, this is definitely probably biased. I think I would easily probably say Nick Chubb is probably who you guys are probably going to pick, and I totally agree. Just because the fact that he's shown that he is a guy. Jonathan Taylor had, 1 year, 2 years, so his rookie year was okay. And then he had that really burst out year. But I still think I'm still taking Jonathan Taylor. I think he's younger, so I think we'll have more years out of him. I know you're talking about more than just this year. I know, but I'm still going to say Jonathan Taylor just because he's my favorite player in the NFL.
And I don't blame you. I think these two guys are so incredibly close, in my opinion, because you have Jonathan Taylor, who's probably slightly more explosive, I guess. Maybe not even explosive, but he's faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of in similar situations. I think Nick Chubb is slightly better, but like if I'm in fantasy drafts, these two go back to back for me. In half of my drafts, I take Chubb. Half of my drafts, I take Taylor. But I'm gonna go with Chubb. I've just always sided with him. When people argue who's better, Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb, I've always been on the Chubb side. So, and I think this will be the best season of his career. So I'll go with Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
if you're in our fantasy league, remember that. Mm-hmm. Remember that.
Well, there's nothing better than having a nice big Chubb. Nothing better than walking out of the fantasy draft with a Chubb. It makes you feel confident about your draft, right?
And you can tell. Feel confident.
Yeah, depending on what your Chubb looks like.
Cover your ears, kids.
For me, it's Jonathan Taylor as well. I just think that we saw some flashes from him last year, and I feel like last year was like the worst offensive line. I feel like last year the Colts' offensive line was worse than even in the years where it was with luck.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive line, despite what the names on paper were, skill-wise, their offensive line was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor. I think just from an overall makeup as a running back, I think he's faster. He probably can't break tackles better, but I think he's in a better situation. I worry about the Browns. But I think you can make an argument for either. But I think maybe my bias is going to show through. I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor. It's just his speed is insane. That's so crazy.
Part of the reason I took Chubb is probably just because the Browns' offensive line is so good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really think Jonathan Taylor has a lot of potential. This was a guy last year who was the consensus number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. He averaged, in 2021 or 2022, whatever year it was, he averaged 23, 25 fantasy points per game. So he was just out of his mind. Let's not forget he can be that guy. Yeah. So I don't think you're going wrong with either one of those guys.
And I did fact check it. This is you said this year, but going for the future, Jonathan Taylor is 24, and he's already turned 24 this year, and Nick Chubb is turning 28 during the season, so that's 4 years difference.
Yeah, which usually with running backs you want to be on the younger side.
Age. Yeah. 28's that age where it's uh-oh.
Unless you're Derrick Henry.
Usually a cliff.
Unless you're Derrick Henry.
Well, he even didn't have the greatest, by his standards.
Or Frank Gore or Adrian Peterson.
Frank Gore. Yeah.
All right.
Next, I have 2 second-year receivers, Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave.
So this is a no-brainer for me. I'm going to say Garrett Wilson. I think this is just because of quarterback play, I don't think I even need to say anything else. I just think Aaron Rodgers is a way better quarterback than Derek Carr, and Aaron Rodgers has always been a guy that can, for some odd reason, he can connect with young wide receivers. And Derek Carr, he more finds one guy. So is Chris Olave going to be that one guy? We don't know. So I think that's a question mark in the Saints offense.
Yeah, I think these two guys are, again, pretty close. They were college teammates, and Garrett Wilson went ahead of Chris Olave in the draft. I think he's always just going to have that slight edge on him, and I also agree with you. I think it helps having Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Derek Carr. I think Aaron Rodgers might not be as good as he once was, but I think he's still better than Derek Carr.
I'm going to go with Chris Olave on this.
I like it.
I think that I think last year we kind of underrated how good he was last year just because
so good.
The Saints were never on prime time. Their quarterback was iffy, whether it was Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston or whoever. But Chris Olave, I think he has a chance to be a top 10 receiver in the league. And Garrett Wilson definitely has that chance too. But I think that there's going to be a lot more distribution in the Jets offense. Because when we talk Garrett Wilson, we're not talking Devontae Adams, right? Mm-hmm. When Devontae was in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers would go to him every time if he had to. With the Jets, they have more options, right? He has Lazard, and he has who else did the Jets pick up? receiver wise.
Like Randall Cobb and like
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis, yeah. So
there's another one too. But
yeah, so they have options.
McCole Hardman.
So
yeah.
McCole Hardman, jeez, that's huge. So I think that Olave is going to get a lot of volume. I guess that's what I'm saying. Is I think Olave is going to get a lot of volume this season.
Yeah, I like Chris Olave a lot. So they're kind of very different players.
Yeah,
Olave is more that smooth guy, really polished route runner, kind of undersized, and then you got Wilson, who's just like a really twitchy guy, breaks a lot of tackles, does a little too much sometimes, not exactly smooth, but both dominant in their own right, I think.
Olave, he did not get talked about enough last year. He had an amazing season.
Next one, we got 2 tight ends for you. We got Kyle Pitts or T.J. Hawkinson.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Once again, I'm going better quarterback. I'm going this year T.J. Hawkinson. Kirk Cousins. He connected with Kirk Cousins right off the get go on that team, and Kirk Cousins passes the ball a lot too. So I think this is a no-brainer as well. I think Kyle Pitts is. Obviously, he's a generational talent. I mean, anybody in the NFL wants a guy like Kyle Pitts. But I watched Desmond Ridder last year. He did not look very good. Yes, I know they have Heineke, but I just think Heineke never really did utilize the tight ends very much. I know they had Logan Thomas, so it wasn't amazing. But I'm just going with the better quarterback, Kirk Cousins.
I'm of the belief that I think Kyle Pitts, at some point, I don't know whether it's this year, whether it's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, he's going to actually finally hit that breakout season. Because sometimes for tight ends it takes a while, but someone with that kind of skill set, like 4.3 speed, 6'6", I think eventually it's going to come together for him. And I think that might be when he gets a quarterback good enough. But I can't quite say that right now to take him over T.J. Hawkinson. I just think Hawkinson has the better situation. I think they're going to be a much more pass-heavy offense than the Falcons. The Falcons are probably going to run the football more than anybody in the NFL. And that right there is enough to give me the edge to Hawkinson.
Yeah, I also think Hawkinson, I think that the idea of Kyle Pitts is a generational talent, but is he a generational talent? I don't think so. I think it's actually time to start calling him a bust. He was obviously the 4th pick in the NFL draft, and I think that some guys just can't play in the men's league, right?
I don't know. He had one of the best tight end seasons ever as a rookie, and he was played with injuries last year. I would not call him a bust.
I mean,
I think we haven't seen the best of him.
Look at Darren Waller. Darren Waller showed out really late in his. I mean, not late in his career, obviously, but like
similar players, by the way.
But hasn't Darren Waller? He just had one good season, right?
Darren Waller.
Yeah. He's just had one good season. Other than that, he's been injury-plagued.
But, every time he's on the field, he makes an impact.
Right, but every time Kyle Pitts' name is talked about, I always hear generational, greatest talent of all time, greatest tight end of all time. I think the idea of Kyle Pitts is the generational
He's just so
talent.
hard. I think the problem is he's getting double-teamed because they have guys like Zacchaeus as wide receiver 1.
Right.
So, I mean, I just don't think he's in a fair situation, but things that's part of it. I mean, I get where you're coming from. If you're that good, you should get open. I agree.
Yeah, I just think, the idea of him's a generational talent, but I don't know if he really is a generational talent.
And no one knows yet.
Correct.
Next one, we have quarterbacks. We got Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson.
You want me to go first?
You can.
Yeah,
Sure.
Why are you thinking about this? Joe Burrow's the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL. He's on pace to be like a GOAT. Like he's on that trajectory right now. I love Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I'm a Louisville fan. But Joe Burrow, he's different. He's different. Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. Joe Burrow's different.
Yeah, I have more trust in Joe Burrow than I do Lamar Jackson for this season. I think we could see more of that MVP season Lamar back this year. They had a lot of good additions, but I think, I've said it before, they're probably going to have some growing pains with a new offensive coordinator, for better or for worse. It'll probably take some time to get used to that. The GM and Lamar had some back and forth. Obviously, it took him a long time to get that contract, as opposed to Joe Burrow. They just threw him the money, give him whatever he wants. So the relationship's better there. He's with his college teammate Jamar Chase, maybe the best duo in the NFL. You can't go wrong with Joey B.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with you guys. I did think about it, but Joe Burrow, he wins games. He just wins football games. And that's just the bottom line in the NFL. If you win games, you're the better quarterback.
If you think about like some of the guys that like have that history, right? Like Brady, right? He just wins games. Like guys like that. That's what separates like a great quarterback from a guy that's like different.
But I will say, in perspective, I think who has a higher ceiling this year, I think it is Lamar Jackson. I think he has a higher ceiling. Lamar Jackson's going to be passing the ball a lot more this year.
It's also tough to argue with 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards.
I think Joe Burrow's safer, but I think Lamar Jackson can have a better year.
I agree.
Next one, we got 2 rookie running backs, Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think this is a no-brainer. I think Bijan Robinson. I think he checks all the boxes. I mean, he's literally coming into the NFL, being talked about being the number 1 running back already. I think that's crazy, but he's literally has all the traits. It's kind of like, I remember when Jonathan Taylor got drafted to the Colts, he has all the traits. The only thing he lacks is pass catching. And the next thing you know, Bijan has everything. Like, he's coming to the NFL just like, honestly, kind of like Jonathan Taylor, but can catch. So it's like, this dude has it all. Falcons are going to be a run-heavy team because I already touched on about Kyle Pitts. I don't like their quarterback situation. So I think they're going to run the ball a lot with Algier and all those other guys, Cordell. I think this is going to be, he's going to be really good. I think Bijan easily.
Yeah, I think this, out of all the ones we've talked about so far, I think this is the easiest decision.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan doesn't have a guy like David Montgomery who got a bunch of money in the offseason. He has the bigger body. He can handle the workload, and I think he's just the overall better player. Bijan.
I've always thought, I think it's so ironic to me that the Falcons drafted Bijan because they also drafted Pitts, and I kind of see them in the same vein. Not kidding. I think that Bijan, he has all this hype. He's again another guy that's kind of claimed as like can't miss generational talent. But then Jahmyr Gibbs, he has this kind of like I think he got like kind of cast in the shadows because it's Bijan's draft class.
I mean, he was like he was a mid-first round pick though, so I mean that's really high capital.
True, but nobody talked about him. I guess is my point.
Not as much as Bijan.
Not in the same vein.
You're right.
So to me, I think it's Jahmyr Gibbs. I saw him play all through college. He is just like Alvin Kamara, and I think that Bijan has a chance to kind of be mediocre this year. I think he's getting a lot of hype, and I don't know. I picked Jahmyr Gibbs.
There's some concerns with Bijan about his breakaway speed. That's what some people say could keep him from reaching that ceiling that he's expected to have.
See, what I think is crazy, though, I mean, his 40 was insane, so I just think...
Yeah, we don't know if he actually plays that fast in the game, though.
Yeah, most people don't. People don't.
Also, I think Jahmyr's going to get used way different than Bijan.
Yeah,
like, he's different.
Bijan's a great pass catcher too, but yeah.
I'm talking like Jahmyr like in the slot.
He's going to be playing the slot. They've already announced that. But the only thing I don't like about Jahmyr over Bijan is there's a lot of other good backs. I mean, Bijan's easily better than Algier and Cordell. Like he's just better already. David Montgomery's a solidified guy in the NFL. And then they got somebody else. They got rid of Jamal Williams, didn't they?
Yeah.
So New Orleans.
And they got rid of Swift.
Yeah, he went to the Eagles. But I mean, I just think David Montgomery might take a lot away from him. But like, if he's playing the slot a lot, who knows?
And that's what scares me too, because I feel like whether you agree or disagree on who's a better prospect between Gibbs or Swift, they're similar players. And I know Swift had some injuries, but he was never really able to reach that elite fantasy ceiling that he was expected to have. So I just don't know if Gibbs can hit that either. Yeah, that's all I got on that one. We got one more. Or actually, no. We got 3 more.
Awesome.
All right.
Next one, we got Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison, 2 rookie receivers.
You want to start this one?
Sure. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba fell in the draft because he was apparently injured. I don't actually know if he was injured, but apparently a hamstring took him out for 5 months or whatever. But I think just as an overall makeup as a wide receiver, I like Jackson Smith and Jigba's chances to kind of be a more complete receiver than Jordan Addison. So I'm going to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, I think JSN has the edge on Jordan Addison as a prospect. He checks all the boxes for me. And to me, it kind of reminds me of last season with Garrett Wilson. Kind of in this period, it was all the talk was he's kind of buried in the depth chart right now. Like you look at Seattle, they have DK, they have Tyler Lockett. But I'm a guy that always bets on that elite talent to break out at some point. You saw as soon as the season started, Garrett Wilson, he leaped all those guys. And I think, especially him being a slot receiver, you can have DK and Tyler Lockett still on the field with him, and he produces like a monster. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to come right into the NFL, and he's going to produce. He could easily be a 10-target guy this year. I'm taking JSN.
Yeah, and I'm actually going elsewhere. I'm going Jordan Addison. I think you'll see Jordan Addison have a better year in his rookie year. Do I think JSN would probably be better in his career? Yes, but I'm going to say Jordan Addison's better this year. The reason for that is you kind of mentioned he's kind of buried in the depth chart. I mean,
He definitely has less target competition.
And I've talked about Geno. I'm not a big fan of Geno this year.
I'm not a big fan of Kirk.
And so I think I'm going better quarterback. I'm going Kirk. And I already said that they're going to pass the ball a lot. And so Kirk Cousins will throw to anybody, too. We've seen that. Yes, he throws to Justin Jefferson a lot. Thing is that we've seen him throw to KJ Osborne.
How many times do you think they're going to pass?
Huh?
How many times do you think they're going to pass?
I mean, there's games where Kirk Cousins threw like 50 passes.
Well, you think Justin Jefferson, 15 targets a game, right?
Okay. I don't know if he's getting that, but okay.
I mean, you don't think so? I think they're in trouble if they're not giving him 15 targets a game.
Okay,
then
so
TJ Hawkinson getting a ton of targets.
5 to 10.
You think he'll get 5 targets a game?
5 to 10? Yeah, probably. I think that's a fair estimate.
Okay, and then a backfield, a pass catching backfield, pass catcher in the backfield, right? Madison, right? I honestly think like on paper, Jackson Smith and Jigba is buried in the depth chart, but I think that like in actual numbers, like on the field, I think that actually Addison will be buried in the depth chart just because I think he won't get that many targets. I really don't.
We'll see. I mean, because Addison's already the number 2 receiver.
Yeah, but like
so he's running routes every single play. Jackson Smith and Jigba might not be running routes every single play because you have Lockett and DK Metcalf.
I think the Lockett's more.
And the Seahawks are a run first team. Pete Carroll's always been a run first.
Except last year, Geno threw it like 50 times a game last year. They threw so much.
Yeah, they
last
did.
Year.
They did draft Charbonnet, so I see your argument there.
Yeah, but they've always been. He's always been a running.
Right.
His offense is literally a running offense. Mm-hmm. So I think I just see a higher ceiling for Addison this year.
I agree with that. But yeah, I just have to go with my guy JSN.
To me, I think Justin Jefferson. I think he equals 2 receivers. Like I think he's gonna get so many targets a game this year. Like I think it's gonna be crazy. But he's also good, so
I'll say
he
that's
probably
fair.
deserves it. Yeah.
That's fair.
Next one, we got 2 more tight ends. We got Evan Ingram or David Njoku.
All right. This is a tough one. I think these are really close.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go.
I'm going with David Njoku, and it's a target competition thing. I think you got Amari Cooper. I kind of expected the Browns to bring someone in at receiver. They got Elijah Moore, but they didn't bring anybody else in. So I think he just has a little bit less to compete with when you're talking about Evan Ingram. And I think the Browns are going to pass a lot more this year. I like David Njoku as a red zone threat. I think he's going to get a lot more touchdowns this year than he did last year. He's a great athlete, great after-the-catch guy. I'm taking David Njoku over Ingram.
I like what I saw out of Evan Ingram last year. I'm going to go ahead and take Ingram. Again, back to that like super-duper passing offense. I think the Ingram he probably won't get too many targets a game. But what he does with his catches is just going to be, he's a special after the catch. So as long as he does catch it, he's special after he does catch it.
I think it just depends on who's healthier out of these two, honestly.
Right.
Who can stay on the field the most games.
You just stole the words right out of my mouth. So I think whoever's healthier is going to be the guy. But one thing, I'm going to lean towards Evan Ingram because he did just get paid, so he's going to be used in the offense. And then another thing about the reason why I'm saying Ingram is Ingram's had that last year. He had a year where it's like, okay, he's a Pro Bowler. And so, like, David Njoku hasn't had that good of a year yet, as good as Ingram did last year. So he has the better years over him. So I'm going to say Evan Ingram. And the best thing about it is it did just happen last year with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. And I think Trevor Lawrence is probably a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson.
Next one, we got Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud.
So this ain't fair because you already know what I'm going to say. I've already been biased to the Colts in every situation I've been able to. So I'm going Anthony Richardson. I think you're going to see him. I think you're going to see the Colts make the playoffs, like I already said. And I think you're going to see the Colts play very safe. I think C.J. Stroud's interception numbers are going to be pretty high this year, adjusting to the game. I do think C.J. Stroud could become a very good quarterback. I think he could. I think he's the guy that could turn around the Texans, though. But I see this year Anthony Richardson being the safer bet. As much as we're going to run the ball, I think the Colts are going to win more games, and I think the Colts are going to make the playoffs because of our defense and our run game.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, just Richardson has way better talent around him. You know, I think Stroud might have a lot more passing yards than Richardson. That's a fair argument to make. But I think Richardson, having Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, you know, having Michael Pittman to throw to, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, that's a lot better than what C.J. Stroud has to work with. And I think that's going to make him a lot more efficient. So I'm taking Richardson.
Yeah, I'm taking Richardson because of I just trust Shane Steichen. I trust the way that
He's all ball.
Yeah, he's all
An
ball.
offensive guy.
Exactly, a very offensive guy, and the Texans are bringing over Bobby Slowick. He was the O coordinator at the 49ers, so they're probably going to run the ball a lot. And I think that I think that they're when they don't run it, it's not going to be like those quick hitters compared to whereas like the Colts will be running like a lot of options and a lot of like inside and outside zones, but then also it's going to be like quick hitters, get the ball out. Yeah, don't even give you a chance to make a mistake. Whereas I think the Texans could at least give Stroud a chance to make a mistake.
Yeah.
All right, that is all we got for these player takes. That was pretty fun, I thought.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
was good. I think there's some definitely interesting ones. There's a lot of close ones, and I thought there were some that are like no-brainers. But obviously
Yeah,
that's
they're
all
all very
opinionated.
close players.
And that's all opinionated.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to some NFL news where we have some running backs not getting paid. You see Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley. I don't know if I can't remember if Eckler got paid or not.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, just a lot of running backs not getting paid. I think it's ridiculous, personally. I think it's just not deserved. Especially the one that makes me the most mad is the Giants. Because obviously they valued running back enough to take him at the second overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay Daniel Jones $40 million, but you don't apparently have the money to go pay Saquon Barkley what he's valued. To me, that makes me mad a little bit. I think that's just insane.
I think the previous administration took Saquon with the second pick. And I just think that, to me, running backs don't win you Super Bowls. Bottom line. They don't. Quarterbacks do win you Super Bowls. So I think you're going to see people overpay for a quarterback and underpay for running backs or not pay them, period. And unfortunately, I think just data backs up not supporting running backs. You know, it sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. That also sucks when your best player on your team, the Colts, is a running back.
Yeah, and I think, and I kind of like what you said, like Saquon Barkley, they did take him high, but like Jake said, it is a different office. But at the same time, though, look what he did for them last year. I mean, he carried them to some victories. I mean, he had some great games. But granted, the running back is such a it's crazy to say this, but it's a position you can fill. Like, I'm not gonna say easily, but you can. You can always find a guy who's young, fresh legs, and can get the job done.
Here's what I'll say that sucks to say. All the Super Bowl teams, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's
and
then
the thing I don't like about the Giants, though, what doesn't make much sense, you pay Daniel Jones a lot of money.
$40 million.
Yeah, and I just don't see Daniel Jones as that guy for that much money. But I just think you definitely should have not paid him that much, and then you could. So if you paid him $30 million a year, which is still I think high for him, but if you pay him $30 million a year, there's your $10 million for Saquon Barkley. I just think they overpaid for him, and so no, I don't think they have enough money to pay Saquon Barkley.
Well,
And I think that's the problem.
Well, I think if you sat them down and you said the camera's going to be off if they were here right now and said, do you think you overpaid for Daniel Jones? I think they'd agree with you. But okay, let's say you don't sign Daniel Jones, then what is your option?
Draft.
Or overpay for Derek Carr, which at that point, give me Daniel Jones.
I just think I think they had a better opportunity to hit in the draft because I think we've already seen the ceiling of Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones has hit his ceiling. He had a decent year last year and he earned his money. I just don't think he earned $40 million. No.
Right, but you take a risk on one draft pick and they're terrible. That's 5 more years of.
Thing is, they could also win you a Super Bowl. I just think. Do you see Daniel Jones ever winning a Super Bowl? I don't.
No, I don't, but you could ask me that about a lot of quarterbacks in the league, including a lot of quarterbacks that were drafted last year.
Yeah. I just don't.
I don't know if I see Drake May winning you a Super Bowl.
I just think paying $40 million out of your salary for in the NFL to Daniel Jones is going to hurt your. That means you can't build around Daniel Jones. And I feel like Daniel Jones is the type of guy, if he's going to win a Super Bowl, you need to have a Jared Goff, like people around him. I just think you can't do it as much now because you have $40 million going to Daniel Jones.
Right. I just think to me it's the quarterback position. You have to have it filled and you have to have it competent. Have to.
That's fair.
Because you have no chance if you don't.
Trust me. Colts. We've been
right. Right. I mean, what is Goff getting paid? Would you rather have Goff than Daniel Jones?
Yes.
You would.
Yes.
You would.
Used to.
Even at the age.
Yes.
You would.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's so much better of a game manager.
Yeah.
So much better.
He's not as good with his feet.
I don't know. Daniel Jones actually made, I don't know if it's Daboll, but he actually made really great decisions last year. Didn't turn the ball over very much. So yeah, I don't think there's that big of a gap there. But I understand you taking Goff.
I guess.
And he's cheaper.
True.
Yeah.
But my last point is, anytime you have a competent quarterback, no matter if they're top 15 or top 10 or top 1, you gotta lock them up. You have to have them. Because what's the option if you don't have them?
I can just say this. If I was a Colts fan and we signed Daniel Jones for $40 million, I'd probably be sick to my stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Because what if Anthony Richardson ends up like Jamarcus Russell? We don't know we only know what
I think
we've been
in our
told.
situation, though, at 4 wins, I think it's a fair, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, because if he's that bad, then you guys will probably be up at the top of the draft again.
I just don't think, if we brought in Daniel Jones, I just don't think he would have made us a playoff team for $40 million. I don't think so.
No.
And so I think the ceiling of Anthony Richardson, yeah, give it to me any day over Daniel Jones.
Gotcha.
Yeah. In other NFL news, we have DeAndre Hopkins actually going to the Titans. I want to know what you guys think about that.
You go ahead.
I just think it obviously makes the Titans way better. I think that if we were redoing, obviously we're not, but Jaden will be. But if we were redoing AFC rankings today, I'd probably have the Titans winning the division now. I think it's that type of move for them. I mean, look at where they were when they had A.J. Brown, right? Now they have somebody better than A.J. Brown. So I just think that I think this is a huge move for them, and I think that their offense is a lot better now, a lot better.
Well, I don't really get what some people are saying. I saw some stuff on Twitter. People are saying Tennessee's where receivers go to die, and they're bringing up like Julio Jones in recent memory, Randy Moss, Andre Johnson. I don't think people understand that those guys were at a different stage in their career, in my opinion, than what DeAndre Hopkins is right now. I think you're not getting a Julio Jones type move here. I think DeAndre Hopkins, he might not be as good as he was 5 years ago, but he's certainly still a star receiver who's a much-needed grab for that Titans team that had Treylon Burks with all the pressure on him. You know, you have a rookie quarterback possibly playing. People are just going to stack the box with Derrick Henry because you don't have any big targets. So I think this is a huge addition, and I don't think he's going to be a total bust for the Titans like Julio Jones. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and then my thing is about this is I just don't. The thing that didn't make sense to me is he wanted to go to like a team that he can win, like a Super Bowl. Now I think we can all agree on this. Tennessee Titans aren't winning the Super Bowl. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen. Their team is not built for a Super Bowl. They're just not built for a Super Bowl. Their defense is okay. They get the job done. And then their offensive line is way weaker than what it was in the past. And then, yes, they have DeAndre Hopkins, but after that, I mean, they have Treylon Burks, and then, I mean, they don't have very many targets. So I just think this team is not. That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Titans, you're going rebuild, then you're not going rebuild. So they don't. I feel like they're switching up what they're doing each day. So I just don't think it's a good pickup. I don't think it'll work out.
I just think, I don't know. I think it's our perception that they don't know what they're doing. But like, I think that's a big reason their GM got fired in the middle of the year last year. Is because they traded AJ Brown like jackasses.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I'm sure Vrabel. I feel like he definitely did not want that to happen, right? I feel like
AJ Brown, no.
Yeah, I feel like the GM just did it. So I think this is them kind of compensating for making that stupid trade.
Yeah, and this is a team too that, I mean, you said they only have Hopkins and then they only have Burks. I mean, this is a team that most of the time they don't have 3 receivers on the field. They're a 2-receiver set team, heavy set offense. So I think that's really all they need. And Hopkins is a guy you can throw the ball to 12 times a game. So I wouldn't say it's a bad move. I think this is a great move for them. I think you needed a target guy.
It's a fantastic move for the Titans. I'm saying I don't know what DeAndre Hopkins is doing.
He kind of changed what he said. He said at first, when he first got on the market, he wanted to win a Super Bowl, but then he took a step back from that, I'm guessing, after he looked at the market, and he said, I want to play with I want to play for like a young team or a young quarterback or something. I can't remember exactly what he said.
It just, anytime, I just don't see it working out. I just think he's going there for the money. Obviously, I don't think he's going there to win.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with going somewhere for money?
I mean, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, I'm always for the money. Yeah, go for the money. But
he's still gonna suit up.
Thing is, it's not legacy. I don't think he's not going. I mean, this could hurt his Hall of Fame talk.
Well, I don't think that's the same for receivers. I don't think, because receivers can't really control whether they're in the Super Bowl, like whether they win a Super Bowl or not. I don't think Super Bowls matter as much for receivers as they do for quarterbacks.
What was his contract? What contract did he get?
2 years, like $20-something million.
I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of change for a receiver that just signed, like at the end of the offseason. It's not like, in the middle of free agency he signed. Looking it up. But I just think that, I don't see anything wrong with
2 years, $26 million.
2 years, so that's $13 million per year. Probably some escalators in there, so if he does certain things, it'll raise that contract.
Yeah.
But I just think that, I think it makes sense for both sides. I mean, yeah, you can say, I want to go somewhere to win a Super Bowl, but the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be able to offer you. They're going to offer you 1 year, $6 million to get to $10 million, right? So, and I think Tennessee's probably just where he wanted to be. I'm sure he bonded with Vrabel, like every player seems to do.
Yeah.
I understand the move. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and who knows how many years Derrick Henry has left. I mean, you can say they want to rebuild, but I'd say as long as they have Derrick Henry for now still looking like a good running back, you probably want to capitalize on that window before you rebuild, I think. And I think if you have the money, you might as well spend it on a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So I like the move personally.
And I'll just say this. The Tennessee Titans are the new Arizona Cardinals. That's how I'm going to end it with.
I think so.
And
Really?
then,
They don't have. Sorry, I need to push back because I hate Kyler Murray. They don't have Kyler Murray, so they're not the new Arizona
Kyler Murray's
Cardinals.
better than
They have
Ryan
a much
Tannehill.
better coach than the Cardinals do as well.
I agree. He's better than Ryan Tannehill. Downstairs. Well, wait. Below the shoulders. He's better than Ryan Tannehill. But upstairs, they're on different galaxies.
I agree, but I mean, I still think they're just the new. I mean, I think you probably couldn't even name one of their offensive linemen right now. Like, they lost Ben Jones, they lost Taylor Lewan, they lost Jack Conklin 2 years
Who's
ago.
the Cardinals running back right now?
James Conner.
Gotcha. I'll take Derrick Henry. I'll take Derrick Henry.
Led the league in touchdowns.
I'll take Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's not that type of guy
But
that's
the thing
just
is,
gonna...
you gotta have an offensive line. I think people are underestimating how good the Titans line was.
Well, they did just take the best tackle in this year's draft, though, too, so that he could be good right away. Who knows?
Man, hopefully he can block 5 guys.
I mean, yeah, but it also comes down to scheme too. Scheme matters, right?
A big thing with Colts, you gotta have chemistry on the offensive line. When you have 5 new guys on the offensive line, that's a big deal.
That's true, but I mean, it just so you're just saying just because of their O-line that they're the new Arizona Cardinals? Because when I think
their whole team.
When I think Arizona Cardinals, I think just disgusting.
A dumpster fire.
They had one chance to hire a good head coach, and they hired some jerk off.
I think it's actually crazy that I think if you put the team side by side, it's they're the same team.
No. The Titans check way more boxes, I think, than the Titans do.
They have a
And
better head coach.
it all
Way
starts,
better head coach.
It all starts
way
with
better
culture.
running back.
It all starts with culture.
And I agree. I said the head coach. I said besides the head coach, I think.
But I think what makes the Cardinals crappy is their culture. Like enabling Kyler Murray to act like a weirdo and not be focused. Like that's what makes them crappy. Because they talent wise, I mean, they're fine. You know, like.
Yeah, but I just think roster wise, they are like the same team, and I think they're going to be the new Arizona Cardinals. Not culture wise, but I think like the same. I don't think they're very very good.
So you just think their roster is going to be the same as the Arizona Cardinals?
I think the record, roster, but not the culture.
Really.
I don't think there'll be any bad flaws in the Titans organization, like you know.
But I think that's what it comes down to. That's why the Arizona Cardinals are so bad, is their culture. That's what I think.
I mean, yeah, that definitely plays a factor when your quarterback's not watching film.
Well, I think it plays the factor. Because, like, talent-wise, they're insane. They were insane last year.
Yeah, that's why I think the Cardinals are better than the Titans.
But you're saying that they're the new Cardinals. The Titans are the new
Because
Cardinals.
of their record. I think that's going to be their record.
But I think the reason that the Cardinals are bad is because of their culture. You're saying that the Titans are going to be the same record
So
as the
I'm just
Cardinals.
basically saying the Titans are going to be terrible. That's all I'm saying. I think
Gotcha.
they're like the same roster as the Cardinals. I just don't think they're very good.
I think the Titans are one of those teams in the NFL. It doesn't matter what the roster looks like. They somehow are always good, especially in that division.
Because of their culture.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
We'll see. But talent-wise, similar rosters.
Correct. So, Jake, do you want to get into the AFC West? You say your predictions.
Yes, I was not here in the last episode, so I did not get to talk about the AFC West, which is certainly a very exciting division with the Chargers and the Chiefs, which are two of the most watched teams in the NFL, I'd say, probably. But yeah, what would be the first team to talk about? The Broncos? I think the Broncos, I'm just going to keep it quick. I think the Broncos are not going to be as dreadful to watch as they were last year. You know, you had some injuries to Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy. You had a question mark at head coach. Now you get the sure thing at Sean Payton, who we've seen do it as a great head coach in the NFL. Over and over again, you got a lot of targets back. I like Denzel Mims. I like that defense a lot. That's a really good defense. I don't think they're going to win the division or anything, but I think they'll definitely be much better than they were last year. Next is what? The Chiefs? The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Don't have to say too much. I think they're going to run it back again. Probably going to be a Super Bowl contender. The Chargers, though, is who I have actually winning the division. I think they're the most talented roster in this division. I think Herbert shows out this year. He wasn't himself last year. He had broken ribs. He kind of had to play like a statue back there. Wasn't able to use his mobility that he has. He's got Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston. If they can stay healthy, that roster is fantastic on the offensive side of the ball. Joey Bosa was hurt last year. You get him back. Khalil Mack, Derwin James. Their defense might not be the greatest, but still a lot of talent over there. And, that's my kind of bold prediction. I think the Chargers will be better than the Chiefs this year, record-wise.
So your standings are 1 through 4?
Well, I still have to talk about the Raiders.
Oh, no, don't forget the Raiders.
Not too much to say about them.
So are you done yet?
Right, yeah. Don't forget the Raiders.
They scare me quite a bit, especially with Garoppolo not passing his physical. He might get cut, I'm hearing.
Like,
still.
what, can we just talk? What's going on there? Do we know?
I have no
He'll be
idea.
fine.
You think so?
He'll be fine. I mean, because I've not heard anything. It's like he's
Well,
going to be cut.
I've seen like pictures from the NFL and him in their uniform.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it in a while.
And that's the thing. Like you would think you would hear that. So I think he'll be fine.
And business-wise, smart by the Raiders putting that in his contract. Like you got to pass this physical if
Yeah.
you're on the team.
So did he get? They signed him, or did they trade for him?
No, they signed him.
They signed him, yeah.
They signed him and they put in the contract, pass the physical or you're not on the team. That's with any contract.
Yeah.
And like it was kind of like, did he pass the
I can
physical?
tell you right now, though,
though.
if they don't have Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, you'll
Jarrett
probably
Stidham.
see some guys that went out.
It's Stidham, their quarterback.
You'd see like Chandler Jones,
Right.
probably Josh Jacobs.
Devontae.
Josh Jacobs
Devontae's already fed up, and
Right.
Josh Jacobs.
So
Right.
I think you could probably see a lot of these guys out, and then honestly it stinks for him. But McDaniel's fired again.
I gotta feel bad for Raiders fans. They've
And
been
back to
through a
the
lot.
back to the Patriots,
Yeah.
killing everybody
Exactly.
with the Patriots.
Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady.
So I'm sorry, what were we saying about the Raiders?
I was saying you gotta feel bad for Raiders fans. They've been through a lot, and it just seems like it never stops.
It really,
At least they have a nice stadium.
they're really nice. It's ridiculous.
I mean, But that's all. That's about all they got going.
And they have a great fan base.
They do have a great
which
fan
I feel
base.
very sorry for. But my rankings for that division, The hot take, Chargers, number 1. Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders. Sorry, Raiders, but...
All right, and then now I want to get into. So tell me your first 4 seeds, and then tell me your 3 wild
Can I
cards.
just say one thing? Sorry, really
Yeah.
quick. I don't mean to cut you off. I think if any team's the Cardinals of the AFC, I think it's the Raiders. That's who I think the Cardinals of the AFC
That's what I'm
is.
thinking.
Just like that stacked talent, they suck. Just culture-wise, it feels
They
like
had the
things
same
are wrong.
talent last year, and they weren't good, so...
That's another argument.
Yeah,
Now.
that's another argument. If they have Jimmy G, I think the Raiders are still better than the Titans. But go ahead.
So wait, what
So
am I doing?
So who's your number 1 overall seed in all the divisions?
In AFC?
Yeah.
So give me your AFC playoff picture.
Correct.
What you're asking.
Correct.
My number 1 seed is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow.
Okay. Who's your 2?
The Chargers.
3,
Dolphins.
4.
The Jags. So those are my division winners. Bengals, Chargers, Dolphins, Jags.
So, Patrick Mahomes got shot and killed? That
No,
sucks.
he didn't. But
So who's 5?
I have a Super Bowl hangover. That's my thought.
Gotcha. Okay.
So 5
5 is the Chiefs. First
6.
wild card spot. 6 is the Bills.
and 7.
7, I have the Browns. And I have the Jets and the Ravens just missing. It's a stacked AFC.
It is.
I mean, if you want to give me crap about that, please do. But I mean, it's really hard to choose in that
I'll give you
AFC.
crap. That's what I'm gonna do.
Please
Oh,
do.
yeah. You're going to get all my
I
crap.
already forgot who I technically said
The
already.
AFC is just so stacked. It's going to be fun to watch.
I
For
just have
sure.
Chiefs as my 1 seed. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And the Bills was my 2.
Right.
But all right, so there's Jaden's AFC West and AFC playoff standings. So now I want to get to this is moving to the NFC.
Let's do
So
it.
this is a big moment. I mean, we finished the AFC. We know what that's looking like for all of our standings. So now let's move to the NFC East. So we got the
Fun division. Really
so we're
fun
gonna start
division.
off with the Cowboys. So Jaden's favorite team. Jaden, I'll let you start it off.
Yeah, my first thoughts when I'm thinking of the Cowboys is I think all the offseason talk has really been kind of Tony Pollard. I know we just talked about running back contracts. He was one of the guys that also didn't get a contract, which in this case I actually think is a good move. I'm not that mad at it because he's a guy that we haven't seen handle the workload yet, and we know running backs play better on contract years. And I think we're really going to get the best out of Tony Pollard knowing that he has something to play for. What I expect out of Tony Pollard this year is what we saw from Austin Eckler when Melvin Gordon left the Chargers. I can't remember if they were in San Diego or L.A., but yeah, I expect a breakout season from Tony Pollard. He already kind of had a breakout season last year, but I expect him to be a top 6, top 5 running back in the NFL this season, fantasy-wise. Yeah, explosive player, but outside of that, for the Cowboys, we lost Schultz. I don't think that's as big of a deal as some people think, because I think Schultz is a very good tight end, very safe, but he's not like an elite athlete, elite route runner. He was kind of mainly just good, I think, because Dak fed him, and he was in the right place, right time. I think our tight end room that we have now will be just fine, especially bringing in a good target in Brandon Cooks to go alongside Michael Gallup, who's coming second year off that ACL tear. He should be a lot better. CeeDee Lamb could take another step up again, I hope so. Our defense should be great. Again, we bring over Stephon Gilmore from your Colts.
Really nice pickup.
But the biggest thing is Dan Quinn back. There were some rumors of him going elsewhere. We bring him back. He's the guy that runs all of the madness on defense. He wreaks havoc with his game plans. We got Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trevon Diggs, Leighton Vander Esch. I think we're good.
So I have 2 questions I want to ask you about the Cowboys. Number 1, how big of a difference do you think it'll be between McCarthy calling the offense now compared to Kellen Moore?
See, that's what kind of scares me a little bit. I can't lie.
does?
It does scare me
Okay.
quite a bit. Because Kellen Moore, I didn't love Kellen Moore necessarily. I think sometimes on third downs, or not on third downs, but on first downs, he passed a little too much.
Right.
Because we're a team, just the way we were designed last year, we needed to run the football first and then open up the passing game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times he got a little bit too pass happy, which for fantasy's sake you love, because every year we had Kellen Moore, we were number 1 in pace and most plays run, fast-paced offense, fun to watch, high-flying, but some of it was unnecessary, I thought. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. McCarthy, I'm not sure what he's going to do.
And then number 2, what do you think about Dak Prescott saying he wants to throw less than 10 picks this year?
I believe Dak.
You do?
I do.
Nice.
I think last year what I saw from him was very uncharacteristic of him. I think previously he's been a guy that almost kind of plays it safe a little bit, and he made some throws that were just really risky and that I'd never seen him make before. It just seemed kind of like fluke interceptions.
Right.
And I think he has a better receiving core this year, especially with Gallup going to be fully healthy. I just think he's not going to make that many mistakes again.
And a guy you didn't say, I think is actually going to be huge for them. I think Brandon Cooks is going to be big for them. Another guy.
I touched on him for a second.
And then I think the biggest sleeper I think you could maybe see is Jalen Tolbert. This guy didn't do much last year at all. Like he was on the practice squad, I believe. So I think you can maybe see his, because he was drafted fairly high. I think you can maybe see him getting in some plays, being a deep threat, and maybe even with Mike McCarthy getting some plays drawn up for him. Because I think you could see him. Obviously, I think this offensive line is like one of the best in the NFL. Still, with Tyler Smith moving him to guard, obviously Tyron Smith will be hurt by week 2,
right.
So he will be playing left tackle. So I think they still have a really good line, though.
And then to lose Zach Martin and turn around and get Tyler Biodash at center. Or
Yeah.
not Zach Martin, Travis Frederick.
Yeah.
To lose Frederick and turn around and get Biodash. I mean, just magical.
And then, but one thing I didn't like what you said, I don't agree with. I think Dalton Schultz is a big loss. I think he's actually a very big loss. I think a lot of tight ends connect really well with quarterbacks. I think that plays a huge factor in chemistry. And I think you'll see this will hurt Dak more than I think people will think, or what other people will think. Because I think Dalton Schultz and Dak connected very well, and I think they had a really good chemistry. And there's a reason why Schultz won it over. He was in a tight end battle a couple years ago when we didn't know who the tight end.
Jason Witten?
It wasn't Jason Witten. It was there was another. Oh, what was his name?
I can't remember his name either.
But he won it for a reason. I think they have a better chemistry, and I think there's a reason why Schultz played so much, and Ferguson didn't play very much as much as last year.
Ferguson was a rookie. Most rookie tight ends are, like most of the time, it takes 2 to 3 years for NFL tight ends to be decent players. So I like Jake Ferguson a lot. I think he can be just as good.
So you mentioned Stephon Gilmore. I think another addition you didn't say, I don't think you said him, was Mozzie Smith. I think I think he's going to be a huge pickup. I think he's going to be a good run stopper, help DeMarcus Lawrence.
And that's what we needed. That was our problem last year. Our pass rush and everything was fine, but we just couldn't stop the run. And Mozzie Smith's a big body that can do that.
Yeah, and then so that's what I was saying. I think he'll be a huge pickup. And then another thing you guys still didn't figure out, I don't think, is you guys don't have a kicker.
Yeah, that.
You do have. I mean, his name's Tristan Vizcaino.
Yeah, which I've seen him on a couple preseasons, and he's not the greatest kicker.
What I think's crazy is you guys should have kept Brett Maher. He had a really good year.
Not in the final stretch down the postseason.
He was actually like one of the best kickers.
Yeah, he was really good in the regular season.
He only had 2 misses.
It was almost like he got the yips or something.
It just happens.
Well, and I think he's a good. I think they should have kept him.
Right.
He literally won them games last year. So I think
60-something yarder against the Vikings to win the game.
Yes.
You gotta think like we're not sports psychologists obviously, but like Markelle Fultz with the shooting, a lot of golfers that happens to golfers. Like Brooks Koepka happened to him. Obviously Maher, we don't know why it happens, but like Maher, he literally was like a top 3 kicker in the regular season.
Got the
last
yips.
Year. Sucks. And then we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Probably the defensive player of the year next year. So, really good roster again by the Cowboys. They'll probably be the same old Cowboys as usual. I feel like.
Oh gosh, please don't say
that. But
at
least that means making the playoffs. That's half the battle is getting there.
Just losing.
Yeah.
To the Niners.
Right. Yeah. Ooh. Anyways. So next team, right? Next team in the East, the New York Giants. We've already covered them a little bit today. Obviously, Saquon's having his issues. They paid Danny Jones. But it's also year number 2 of Brian Daboll, Jaden. Year number 2 of Brian Daboll. So what do you think about the Giants?
Outside of the Saquon Barkley contract situation, I actually really, really like the Giants as a sleeper. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but I think they're the team that could be the sleeper to win this division. Possibly. I think Darren Waller, if you can get him to stay on the field, which is a big question mark for sure, he opens up so much for this offense because a lot of the problem, Saquon Barkley over the second half of the season last year really slowed down because they realize this team doesn't have any targets to throw to, so we can just stack the box. Darren Waller's a legitimate threat when he's healthy and on the field. I think that opens up so much for that offense. But this defense is what really catches my attention. Dexter Lawrence is an elite defensive tackle, maybe the best in the entire NFL. You got Kevon Thibodeau entering year 2, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Williams is a solid lineman. You get Okereke from the Colts.
Right.
Great linebacker.
Do they still have Blake Martinez at linebacker
He's
too?
Pokemon.
He's a Pokemon.
Oh, that's
card
right.
guy.
I forgot about that.
He's making a couple million off Pokemon
yeah,
here.
he's living the good life.
And then you got they drafted rookie Deontay Banks, really athletic corner. I like him. They have Ojolari, Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney. Their defense is pretty good. I'll say that.
He was a top defense last year.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, so I'll go ahead and go. And then I know they have they brought in Paris Campbell as well from the Colts. I think and they got drafted Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
But thing is though, I think
Not a big fan.
I still think their wide receiving core is a little weak. And as much as Dable he liked to pass a lot, like last year with Daniel Jones. He let it go. And so I know they got some problems with Saquon Barkley right now. So I think this team's up in the air right now. I think Saquon Barkley is a big factor on this team. Their offensive line played really well last year. I think that's what changed this team is their offensive line and their defensive line. I think both lines.
Got 2 cornerstones at tackle.
They
let's say
they established both sides of the ball from the defensive line. If you ever hear Shane Steichen talk, that's what he always says. You got to establish that offensive line. You got to establish that defensive line.
Yeah.
And Chris Ballard says all the time too. So I think they did establish.
Neither of those guys have anything to do with the Giants.
Exactly. It's just always my Colts.
It's just like a saying, yeah.
Yeah, and this defense is top, really good. They have a girl punter in Jamie. They special teams is good, defense is good. I just don't see this. You know, it's crazy. This team's finishing 3rd in this division.
To me, I think a thing that makes a lot of sense about this team is a really similar year to last year. Good season. Made the playoffs.
It's Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Daniel Jones, and also just like, I don't know. It's just that division. It's a bloodbath. Another one of those bloodbaths.
Redskins. Let's just say, or not Redskins. Commanders and the Giants have the same percentage to win the division. I think.
Really?
I think the Giants are much better than
That's just how confident I'm saying that they're not going to win it. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Anything else on the Giants?
Nope.
Moving on to probably unanimously the best team in the division, at least by last year's standards, the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson, you get to go first this time.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Eagles.
Yeah, so I think... do I think you actually do see a hiccup in the Eagles? Yes, I do. I think Shane Steichen is actually a big loss. I really do think that. Yes, can they bring up a quarterback coach and kind of run the same philosophy? Yes. But I think the play calling will still come into factor, of calling the right plays in the right situation. So I think you'll see a hiccup. But this team is obviously so talented that this team's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I think you'll see a hiccup, though.
I think to kind of back up what you said, a big thing about play calling you always hear is like having a feel for the game. And I think when I think feel for the game, I think Eagles against the Colts, 9 yards out, instead of running a pass play, Shane Steichen calls up a quarterback draw. Jalen Hurts waltzed into the end zone. That's just like a feel for the game type of sort of get a play there to call up. So we'll see if Brian Johnson, the new OC, has that, but Shane Steichen, at least from last year, definitely does.
And then I wouldn't be surprised either, because I know Shane Steichen actually didn't call the plays this whole time in Philadelphia, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sirianni take over play calling if it isn't working
Especially
out.
if they lose like 3 games in a row. You know?
So I think one thing I did like about the Eagles is they did go out and draft a rookie right guard to fill Isaac Samala's spot, and that's just classic Eagles. Eagles are always getting their offensive line, and like I said with the Giants, offensive line, defensive line. So I think anytime you get that set, you're going to be looking pretty. Obviously getting Jalen Carter as well. So this Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox. So have fun with that, Cowboys fans.
No freaking kidding.
Yeah, I was going to say about the Eagles, they lost a lot of people on the defensive side of the ball, so I was kind of scared for them. And then you go to the NFL draft, and somehow they come away with Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. It's like, wow, this is just another scary team. Their offense is already the hardest team to defend in the NFL, and then their defense is looking scary again. So, yeah, I mean, can't argue with them as probably the favorite.
Yeah, and then I want to say one more thing. I think a guy that can be a sleeper in this a pickup for them is Rashad Penny. I think this guy could be a lot like LeGarrette Blount with the Eagles. He led the league in touchdowns when LeGarrette Blount went there. I think you could see a really good year from Rashad Penny if he stays healthy.
What do you think about Swift?
I think Swift, if he stays healthy, I think obviously he's just going to fit right in. I think he'll do what Miles Sanders did and have a good year.
The one thing about the Eagles is the window's actually it's already starting to close because they locked up Jalen Hurts. A lot of times that's when the window starts to close. So I think this year and next year they're probably 2 big years of figuring out who they love and who they're okay with cutting bait with as far as like the veteran talent. You know,
their offensive line's getting old. Devontae Smith's still on his rookie contract for now, so they kind of have to go all in.
And getting old doesn't even necessarily mean like I'm not able to play anymore, but like it means like up for a contract. Which if you have a quarterback signed, that can be rough.
We're just like looking at like the Chiefs, they had to let go of like Orlando Brown, like some of these guys because like
you just have to. You don't have any other option.
And then like Tyreek Hill had to go out the door. Like there's just guys you have to because you're giving out.
And they
so
have
much
such
money.
a talented team. They can't pay all those guys.
Exactly.
Kind of similar to the Bengals. Like they're kind of in that same route a little
Exactly.
bit. In that same route.
Okay.
So final team in the division, a team that we don't really know much about. They lost their quarterback. They still have Riverboat Ron Rivera. The Washington Commanders. Any of you guys have anything you're burning to say about the Commanders?
Not really burning to say anything about them,
but you need to get the podcast.
Yeah,
so you have to say
I'll say they're definitely in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes because I just don't. I will say I really like what they have going on at receiver. I'm a big fan of Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson. Great, they're both smaller guys, but really fast, really great route runners, and for their size, great contested catch guys. I really like those guys. They have a solid backfield with Gibson and Brian Robinson. Not the best running backs in the world, but they're at least solid in tandem. Their line is not the best.
Not very good at all.
Defense not very good. So,
pretty much every time I talk, if I'm talking about a team, it's usually because they have a good offensive line or a bad offensive line, and this team does not have a good offensive line.
They're on the bad side. So, yeah, they have a lot of holes. I think they're easily last in the division.
I'm sorry, Carson. One hole they don't have, and you're probably about to talk about this, their D-line. Holy cow.
Chase Young has been rumored to be out of there, too, as well.
Yeah, so. They're talking about rumored trading him. Obviously, they got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and
which are all monsters, by the way.
So it's like so you go from that, then you go to like arguably the best front four in the NFL.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay. So I think honestly, I saw the rumors of Chase Young being out. Honestly, looking at it like this, like your team has a lot of holes. Maybe not a bad idea.
Go fill some holes with Chase Young.
Holes. I mean, you can always go get a guy in free agency. Like, I'm trying to think of a random veteran. Like, you can go get a guy like Justin Houston. He's a free agent. Right. Like, go get a guy cheap, veteran, fill him in that spot, and then you can go get a lot of talent. They need defensive backs is what they need.
And
so I think I could definitely. I mean, I think it's smart to get rid of Chase Young.
I mean, it sucks to waste you. I mean, you took him at the number 2 pick, so that sucks to move on. But
he hasn't even been healthy though. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you can get rid of him for a good price, I'd get rid of him. I think it's smart. I don't see Sam Howell being what people are thinking. They're saying that he's actually being pretty good.
I think he could be an underrated guy for fantasy, but I don't think he's a good real-life quarterback because he's a decent rusher.
Just see by week 4, Jacoby Brissett be leading that team.
That's kind of what I expect.
They'll win 6 games. Jacoby Brissett wins 4 of them. It's just like
and you know what happens if they win 6 games? Probably not the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Exactly.
You know, you gotta win.
So Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he always does it. He wins games. He's a very good backup.
Probably the best QB sneak guy in the NFL outside of the Eagles, Jalen Hurts.
And
but that's
Anthony
more
Richardson.
The line.
And Anthony Richardson.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. So anything else on the Commanders, fellas?
There ain't much you gotta
No.
But positives, really freaking good D-line.
Yeah.
Really freaking good D-line. So with all in all, let's rank the division. Rank the NFC East. Anybody want to go first? Anybody dying to go first?
I'll go. So my first is obviously I'm staying with Philadelphia Eagles. I think Eagles are easily going to lock it up. Their team's just too good. Talent's too good. Yes, I think they'll have a hiccup at the beginning of the year with the offense coordinator situation and play calling, but they'll figure it out. Their team's too talented, and they've already been there, so they've been there, done that. 2, I'm going the Cowboys. I think Cowboys have the second best roster in this division, and I think they lost their offense coordinator. You might see a hiccup, but I don't think it'll be as bad as what people think with Kellen Moore leaving. I think Mike McCarthy will do a good job of handling his job. And then the Giants at 3. Giants at 3. I think they can make another wild card appearance, but I don't see it happening this year. I think Daniel Jones won't have as good as a year as he did, and I think that as much as they paid him, they'll be in like scared mode because he would be under contract. I think you could see a similar Carson Wentz deal there. And then the Commanders. I think you'll see them drafting, like we said, top 5. So I'm not even going to say anything else. They'll be 4th in the division. That's my NFC East.
And I'm going to go out on another limb, just because I hate the Eagles and I can't get myself to put them first, although I probably should. I'm going to act like I think the Eagles are going to have a Super Bowl hiccup as well. I think they're going to have a hangover. And I'm going to put them at 2nd in the division, put the Cowboys first. So Cowboys first, Eagles second. I have the Giants at 3rd, but I think they honestly could be a sleeper team if they can stay healthy to bounce the Cowboys or the Eagles. But I have them at 3rd, and then I have the Commanders at 4th, obviously.
I think so. I'm gonna have the Cowboys first as well.
Really?
I hate Shane. I hate.
Whoa, Shane!
I hate Nick Sirianni, so that's the only reason I'm putting the Cowboys first. Can't stand him. He's an idiot. Him and Mike McDaniel. They're in like the same like realm for me. They're cringy idiots. So then I think Nick Sirianni. I think the Eagles will go deeper in the playoffs, but I have the Cowboys winning the division. And then 3rd Giants, 4 Commanders. Pretty much, we're pretty much uniform except for those 1 and 2s.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. Just Nick Sirianni, he's so off-putting to me. And when does that stuff like staring in the camera when they're beating a team by 40, I hate it. Makes me so mad.
I mean, he's just a character, though.
Yeah, he is.
He's a character. I think he fits Philadelphia. I think he like the energy he brings. So I think Philadelphia fans are crazy. So I think he fits right in.
For sure.
He's just different.
I'll say this: he's my 31st least favorite coach in the league, but he's 30 times better than Mike McDaniel. I can't stand that guy.
Mike McDaniel's pretty cool.
He's an idiot.
He's pretty cool.
No, he's not.
But anyway, so that's our rankings, and then so now let's get into some final words.
Let's do it. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up this sweet new banner we got. Coaches from the Couch banner. Pretty good, pretty cool to have our logo up. And as always, thank you all for all the support.
Shout out to Brady Mack for designing that logo. It's very cool.
And then shout out Banner Buzz. That's who made it. So shout out Banner Buzz. Let's go.
Hey, you can sponsor us.
And then
that's your final
hey, that is my final words. You guys got anything else?
Yes, I do. I say take kickers out of football and give their money to running backs. That's my solution.
Pat McAfee would not like that. Let's just say that. If he watched that clip, he would not like that.
They can go play soccer or something like that. That's my thoughts.
Maybe. All right, well.
Hey, don't tell. Hey, he's just. I can tell you right now,
I'm not
Cowboys
for
could
the
have used a
brand.
kicker last year in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Take it out of the game, we wouldn't need it.
Unless you want Tony Pollard kicking field
That's
goals
true.
for you.
So, but next week, or next Thursday. So this Thursday, we're going to have the NFC North.
NFC North, yeah.
NFC North, so Bears, Lions, Green Bay, and Vikings.
Very new division.
Yep, so that is Thursday. And then we'll come at you with some more other news and other sports, whatever's fresh. So we will see you next time. Please like and subscribe.
Heck yeah.
And we'll see you Thursday.
Ask us Q&A. We'll leave it down below in the comments, but you can also find it in our Instagram. Hit up the highlight in our Instagram. Ask us some questions. We have Q&A coming up soon, I'm sure. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching and listening. That's all we got. We'll be back soon.
Wait, bye. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. See you.
Just a second. All right. Peace.